All right, now that you've seen from far away what we're doing, I thought I'd show you up close. This is a really neat spinner. You can use it as a coaster if you want to, but what we're really looking at are 3 separate layers of mandala, scaled up, and then on the other side we've got those same 3 layers that we can play with positioning. So then you'll be able to look through it into the light and see prettiness in the light and really start to play with patterns. We did some fun testing with shining a flashlight through it, and it put pretty patterns on the wall. That's always our goal, is being able to get pretty patterns going. So I'm going to walk you through what the pieces are for both of them, and then we're just going to show you assembly on one of them. They're pretty easy to put together. This one is all about the decorating. So let's start with spinner 1. I'm going to go ahead and open the box. And you'll notice that the screw kit is 1 screw. And because this is kind of the first double layer coaster we've done, what you're going to find is a thick piece and a thin piece and another thick piece that go on each side of the mandala stack. So I'm going to move those 2 out of the way. Thick, thin with the acrylic in it, and another thick to move out of the way. And then we should have 5 pieces left for our mandalas themselves. So what I've got is I've got a big one that has detailed patterns all the way through it, a medium one that you're going to line up next to it. So I've done my best to make these teeth line up perfectly. So if you've got the little bump outs lined up on both sides, it should be aligned okay. And then we're going to do that same thing when we put it together on this other side. So one thing you'll notice from a decorating perspective is you can actually see both sides of most of these pieces as you spin them around. You also want to make sure you sand everything well, because of course making it spin smoothly is our goal here. So decide how you want it to look. This is the order we've designed it for. I think it's the right order because it gives you this really pretty double-sided spinner to play with. And you've got lots of things you can do from there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to, then as we build it, use one of our big thick rings as a holder for the acrylic. We're going to use a thin ring, which you'll never see. So I'm going to get the acrylic out of our way. And then a thick ring on top of it. So you can see a little bit of this ring, as we've talked about before, but not very much at all, and you'll want to finish your top ring nicely. I'm going to get my acrylic out of the way, and we'll repeat that process on the other side as well. Because of the way I've aligned these, you're not going to see anything on the inside. And then that's the stack that you're going to build with your spinner. So this is our first mandala. It's this pretty stack with flower patterns in it. And 5 pieces. You could make one side neon and one side melty soft. You could make it all bright. You can do anything you want to do when you put it together. Now my other spinner has the exact same set of pieces in it. It took forever to cut these. There are so many little pieces. But it has in it you have to put them in the proper order, you know. A slightly different mandala. This one is more curvy on its main piece. Here's its main one. Then we're going to take these pieces and set them on top, and you'll notice how we've reduced the size on all of these so that the layers as they go in get skinnier and skinnier. So you've got those 3 pieces that you're going to stack together for each side on this second spinner as you decorate it. So what you want to do now is you want to sand and decorate. And then come back and watch the video and we'll talk about how to put it together. Now that you've decorated all your pieces, and I am sure they're completely incredible, let's work on putting them together. You're going to need your hardware bag. Again, it has 1 screw in it and 1 nut in it for each of the projects. And I'm going to start with the pretty side on the big one, include 1 of the medium ones, and 1 of the small ones. And then I'm going to flip that over. And I'm going to put 1 of the medium ones on this side. And 1 of the small ones on this side. Now, because I didn't finish that inner surface and it still looks like the back of a piece, I'm going to treat that like the inside of my project. And I'm going to take my screw and run it all the way through all the pieces. Should go in fairly easily, and you'll notice it's just long enough to stick out on the other side. Now I have a dot of glue here, and I've tested to make sure I've got glue coming out of my glue bottle. So I just need to put a little dot of glue on here. Make sure that screw doesn't come off. That's probably the one challenging part, because we can't get to that screw once it's put together. If the glue hasn't dried and you tighten it up and you put the acrylic on the back, you're never going to get into it to fix it. So make sure you leave it nice and loose. Give it a second to dry. While that one's drying, I'm actually going to go ahead and put this second one together in the stack and put some glue on it as well. Big, medium, small, medium, small. Put my screw through what I'm calling the front. Come on. Put another drop of glue on this one. And now I'm ready to put the acrylic sides on this and make it look just gorgeous. Now I'm just putting the nut to the flat on these. If it's a little long because you've sanded, that's okay. I'm thinking you probably don't want to go too much past flat, because you want to make sure they've got lots of good spin room in them. So now I've got a thick, thin, and a thick ring. I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to start by gluing my thick ring down on top. I can do that pretty quickly just by running a bead of glue all the way around it. Make sure that aligns nice and centered with the piece below it. This is the part where you will get your fingers dirty. I'm sorry, I can't fix that. I'm going to put my next little bit of glue on here. Trying to put just enough on so that it sticks and not so much on that it oozes out all over my ring. I'm going to give that a minute to dry as well. Acrylic and glue don't mix, so we want to make sure we give that plenty of time to dry. If you ended up with glue sticking out over the edge, you might want to wipe the edges off so you don't have shiny edges on your pieces. Let me give that a minute to dry while I start this second one, doing the same thing. You can certainly put them together one at a time. I just thought I'd let you see it happen twice. There's one. And once we're done with these two that on this side, then we're going to have to flip them over and do the other side. There's my second one. And again, I've got some glue on the outside I want to get rid of. Make sure I hold it out down nicely so nothing gets in the way. And that it stays nice and round. This one is being stubborn for me. While that one's drying, I'm going to flip this over and start on the back side of the first one. I'm going to make sure that glue on the inside dries so I don't accidentally get glue on the acrylic. So you give it a minute to dry, give it a half hour to dry, you'll be much better off. Cookies and milk are always a good choice to have while you're waiting for things to dry. That side's good. Got my thick ring here. Grab my thin ring. Give that a second to dry and flip this one over. Yeah, that's nice and lined up now. This one over and do the back side of this one. You might be asking, why can't I put the acrylic right here? Why do I need the thick ring? But if you were to try to do that, you would notice that you have a bump sticking out the back, in the middle, in the back and the front. And you must get it up a level, so I'm grabbing my other next big ring. I still have 4 big rings all waiting for me to put on top of the acrylic. A little more glue. Apparently, people who haven't visited the shop have wondered what all the noise in the background is. We're right across the street from the San Jose airport. So should you ever visit, you'll be able to see the planes landing and understand why it is that we have noise. Okay, we're going to let that side dry, flip this over, and now I'm ready to put the acrylic on. You could decide you don't want the acrylic on it and you want it to be standalone, but I really think they're going to be pretty coasters, and if you have the acrylic on them, they're protected a little bit and safe from all things. So my vote is acrylic. And you've got a couple of choices when peeling it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel one side completely, although I'm going to get it started and leave it for now, and then come back, flip it back over. And the other side, I'm going to peel all the outer edges and give myself a little bit of a handle so I can hold on to it when I assemble it. Peel that side off. I'm just going to set it right here so it's safe. Then I'm going to put my set of glue on this thin ring. There are lots of choices for how to get the acrylic in. The only thing to be aware of is you don't want glue on your acrylic, or it will smudge. So my nice easy little piece of acrylic that I am holding on to, that I can just gently set into here. And now I can put the top ring on this side. And then I can pull my rest of my paper off. Let that get nice and solid. Compressing super glue is actually what forces it to dry so quickly. So if you push down on it, it'll actually force it to dry. Wipe off the extra glue from the outside. Make sure it doesn't slip when you're doing this and get glue all over everything. And then I can flip it over and do the other side. So I'm going to carefully hold it on the edges so I don't get any fingerprints on it. I am going to peel one side completely, flip it over, holding it on the edges, start the other side, and gather up my little ball in the middle, make sure all the edges are loose, set this down. Ever so carefully put glue on the outside. On the top of my thin ring here. That one is definitely going to leave a little bit of squirty out. I can thin that down a little bit. Grab my piece of paper. Drop that in the hole. Take one of the thick rings. And carefully align it. So I'm holding that second piece of acrylic on. And there you have it. Again, wipe the outside if you got any squishy, and it feels like I did, but I can't see it. It'll dry silvery and shiny, and that's why you want to make sure you wipe it so you don't get anything shiny on the outside. Grab a little more towel here. Let me prepare my two more pieces of acrylic. Get both of these started. What you don't want to do while it's waiting is let it get dirty. That would be sad. Since this is all about being able to see through it, you definitely don't want it to get yucky. Okay, let those two sit there for a second. Two more, one little ring of glue. one piece of acrylic. Go ahead and peel off the back side. Pick up my little holdy tab. Put this ring on top like so. Make sure I'm centered and smooth and perfect. Wipe off a, oh, good. That was lucky. Make sure you have pushed down. It actually didn't get any glue on my piece of acrylic. Make sure you don't pick it up to wipe it till it's started to dry, or it will be a problem. Yep, that's nice and dry. I can pull that off now. Wipe the sides. That looks pretty good. And one more, and then you have assembled your 2 mandalas. Now, if you got these mandalas as individual projects, you might only have one. That would be sad, but you can assemble one just as easily as you can both of them. If you got them in the box, let me tell you that the pendant is not nearly this easy to assemble, and we'll be walking you through doing that. It's got some couple of challenging tricks in it. They're going to make it a lot of fun to get put together. Yes, you have to take that bottom piece of paper off first. Ever so carefully set it in the hole. I'm going to wipe a little bit here because I'm afraid it's just going to go everywhere. Line it up and push it down. And this gives you a pair of really pretty pendants, that really pretty spinners. You can give them away as coasters. You can keep them for yourself. Anything you might want to do with them. Now make sure if you're going to pick it up to wipe it, it's all started to solidify, because you don't want to slide it around or get gunk again. And there you have it. 2 pretty mandala, double-faced mandala spinners, all for you. Thank you so much.